As if having little faith in peace talks and threatening the citizens of Gaza wasn't enough, a newly published 2,000-page report by the Jerusalem District Court is accusing the Palestinian Authority led by President Abbas of using extreme torture against suspected Israeli collaborators, political dissidents, and more. Joining me now to shed light on these allegations is Dr. Mordechai Kedar of the Begin-Sadat Center for Strategic Studies at Ilan University. He's also served for 25 years in the IDF military intelligence and is an expert in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Thank you very much for joining me, Dr. Kedar.
Pleasure. It's not allegations. It's the verdict of a judge who listened to dozens of testimonies. So it's not allegations. This is the reality, which received the seal of approval of an Israeli District Court of Jerusalem. And this is something different.
So then to begin, what does the court's findings say about this? What are the conclusions of the report, and what are the implications of that on Israel?
Well, as a matter of fact, most of the testimonies were about the era of Arafat until 2002. However, it shows the methods of torture which the Palestinian Authority used in order to coerce everybody whom they didn't like in the Palestinian Authority. Even people who were collaborating with Israel by all kinds of selling lands or so forth, they actually tortured them, some of them to death. They were torturing their sisters in front of their eyes. They were hanging them with their feet up. They were sticking all kinds of objects into their bodies. And these methods, which the Palestinian Authority was using against the detainees, without any trial, without any jurisdiction, without any permission. This is how the PA actually is acting, not for Israel, but for itself, in order to endure the government of these corrupt people who are now turn out that they are also cruel, who couldn't care less about their own people, which reminds us like Assad, who couldn't care less about his people, Gaddafi. And actually the PA turns to be something like another Arab failing state with the same characteristics of how they deal with their own citizens, illegitimate as the other Arab countries were.
So because this is not the first time we've heard about this, even in recent months too. I mean, we've heard of Abbas having jailed political dissidents and journalists who disagreed with the Fatah party. But so how does this reflect, how do we take the PA as a legitimate faction, as a legitimate government body?
Well, the Palestinians do not view them as legitimate. Israel needs some bad guy who will do the job for Israel, will cooperate on the security with Israel, so let them do whatever they like to their own people. This is immoral before it is illegal. And actually, the only newspaper in Israel which picked it is Makor Rishon.
Is the only newspaper that picked up the story?
I didn't see it in any other newspaper of the left or the mainstream media like Yediot Achronot or Ma'ariv. I didn't. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I saw it in Makor Rishon, and actually the lawyers who represented those poor Palestinians who were tortured by the PA were actually so-called settlers, lawyers who live in the Judea and Samaria. And they actually volunteered to help those poor Palestinians against the PA because of what they did to their own people.
All right, well, I can't imagine what is going to happen next with these findings. I hope some good comes out of it, that some action is taken.
For me, it is another sign that the PA will end up like another Arab country, which is a dictatorship without any legitimacy, and will collapse eventually. And all we're going to see is all kinds of gangs, just like in Syria, instead of giving the government to the clans, which are much more legitimate in the eyes of the population, rather than the gangs of criminals whom we brought from Tunisia in order to control them for us. Israel, unfortunately, has not yet made another thing which is more immoral than establishing the Palestinian Authority. And this is what comes out today by the verdict of the court here in Israel.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have to discuss this, but thank you so much for coming in, Dr. Kedar, and I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.